Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, I love when I make videos and you guys leave comments underneath. It gives me an opportunity to come back, read them, and respond to you. But sometimes you guys will make suggestions that I'll consider. And I have considered one of them, so let's go over that. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Miles Franklin. The link will be down below in the description. When you make your purchase, make sure you use promo code PIMPY, P-I-M-P-Y, and they'll take care of you. If you have any additional questions, you can reach us over here at this phone number or over here at this particular email. For all orders over $10,000, reach out by email and we'll make sure that you get a great deal. So come on over to Miles Franklin and add to your precious metal inventory. I think it's funny when people think that I have the wrong information. They leave silly comments like this here. Asar says, wonder why you don't read the same articles as Mountain Goat. Her articles from Mountain Goat. Her articles? Mountain Goats are her? Then how come she's not called Mountain Nanny? Anyway, it says, her articles from Iraq are never mentioned on your shows. Her breakdown of deleting of the zeros is different and more accurate than your logic. Well, more accurate than my logic? That'll be interesting. Why do I need to read other people's articles when I can just read the information myself? I'm smart enough to know to go do the research and dig deeper into these things without listening to what other people have to say about them. That's why I know what I'm talking about, and most all those people out there don't. Pimpo is the only one spewing the zeros nonsense, but of course he is right and everyone else is wrong. LOL. That statement is correct, by the way. Dino says to Asar, the second to the last paragraph, the new bank notes will be introduced by the end of 2010, 14 years ago, and also states that they do not know when the new notes will be introduced. It's been an ongoing saga, okay? Asar says, Dino, I know, and it proves my point that the deletion of the zeros is not swapping large notes for smaller notes. How does that prove your point? Seriously, it doesn't at all. But anyways, so Asar is saying that Mountain Goat put out an article talking about the deletion of the zeros and that her information is different than mine and a lot more accurate. So let's see if this is true, shall we? Lo and behold, Mountain Goat's deletion of the zero article, okay? But it's funny, some of the comments she makes in here, because you can tell she's frustrated and tired of talking about the same thing over and over. This is why this particular article in here that she wrote is in here, is because she's had to repeat herself several times. Trust me, I know. So let's get started. It says, let's begin. Below is some factual information on what categories of lower denominations that still need to be rolled out. We already know that the 250, 500, and 1,000 dinar notes are in circulation and are planned to remain in circulation even after the project's delete to zeros is completed. However, CBI and the Finance Ministry often refer to these notes also as the lower denominations. But they know there are still lower of the lower denomination, and these are what I'm talking mostly about today in this presentation. Already, one thing I don't agree with is this, that the 250, 500, 1,000 dinar are going to remain the same. When a country decides to redenominate, the face of the currency changes altogether. Now, if they put aside some 250 notes, 500 and 1,000 dinar notes that they've already printed up that have not been released, then of course they'll use those. But once the currency's been in circulation and it's been used, then no, it's not going to be the same one. They're not going to put them to the side and just hold them. When a country redenominates, the old currency becomes obsolete, period. What would the new lower denominations would be when the CBI does launch them? So the banknotes, the dinars, you'll see a 1, 5, 10, 25, 50, and 100 dinars. I agree with that. Makes sense to me. Then you'll have the coins. How will the CBI arrive at these new bills? Let me explain to you. Okay, please do. All right, here we go. This is all the good stuff. Let's see how Mountain Goat is explaining it any different than I am, shall we? How the process on deleting the zeros will work. Will they null and void out the old 30 notes once they redenominate? Yes, of course they will. Go do the research. They tell you when a country redenominates, and that's what this is, whether you call it the LOP whether you call it the deleting of the zeros, removing of the zeros, reducing of the zeros, it all is the same thing, a redenomination. And when a country redenominates, the old currency is no longer any good. She goes on to say, for instance, the 1,000 dinar bill, which is remaining in addition, but if you delete the 3 zeros, it also becomes a 1 dinar note. So you're saying it's remaining in addition. I don't know what you're trying to say there. So let me continue. The same applies to the 5,000 dinar note, the 10,000 dinar note as well. Once you remove the zeros, a 5,000 dinar note becomes a 5 dinar note. A 10,000 dinar note becomes a 10 dinar note, so forth and so on. If you notice that each of the lower denomination notes also have a corresponding higher 3-0 note, just add 3 zeros. Coincidence? No, it is not. This was designed this way all along since October 2003 when they first issued those higher notes. Good Lord, man. That was kind of complicating there, Mountain Goat. So when you delete the zeros, obviously they come off the banknote, is what she's saying there. So 1,000, 5,000, and 10,000 dinar note become a 1, 5, and 10 dinar note after they remove the zeros. So far, I agree. So when you delete the zeros from the currency in the project to delete the zeros, what do? You delete 3 zeros, get it? Is that so hard to understand? Yes, it is for a handful of people in the dinar community, man. They just don't get it. So far, so good. The rate, therefore, does not change, only the bills change. Get it? This is the part that most people do not understand, but it is really not hard to understand. So let me explain it to you in more detail. Yes, I agree with Mountain Goat big time. The rate, therefore, does not change, only the bills change. Exactly, a redenomination. And I love when she says right here, this is the part that most people don't understand. So far, so good. Asar. I know, this sounds like a weird statement to make, but it would be the process. Technically, there is not going to be any revaluation in Iraq. Get it? Wow, okay, so now you are totally confused. Your head is spinning. Don't be confused. Just read on and trust what I'm saying. Read it slowly. That is funny. Yes, so far I am in agreement. I agree big time. And so far she's saying the same thing I am. Although I think I'm a little bit more clear about what I'm saying, but let's continue. It is not until you take the older 3-0 dinar notes, when it is reinstated on Forex, at the rate we are all looking to exchange it for. We are outside of Iraq and we will exchange the dinar for our own currency in country. For instance, the US dollar, the euro, the Canadian dollar, the pound. We will do this when there is a significant increase in the exchange rate capability. It is not going to be realized in Iraq, their country. In Iraq, there is not going to be any dancing in the streets, fireworks, and celebrations afterwards. Get it? Yes, the people will be glad they finally get rid of those cumbersome notes. They will finally see a change back into normalcy. Soon they will forget the wars. So no, there's not going to be any huge celebration. Yes, I agree with that. I'm not sure what you're saying up at the top there. And as far as they'll forget the war, no, nobody forgets a war. We're still talking about World War II. To fully help you understand even more what's going on, let me use an example. Please do. Today is October the 2nd, 2021, and the CBI rate is 1,450 IQDs per dollar. This equates to approximately $17.24 of value on a $25,000 note today. So I agree with what she's saying there in that whole paragraph. Fast forward to today, which is June 27, 2023, and the CBI rate is 1,320 dinars per dollar. This equates to $18.94 for the value of a 25,000 dinar bill. Using the same method of calculation, here is how I calculated this. I agree. So what just happened? We can clearly see that the CBI already revalued the dinar since it went from $14.50 to $13.20 or $17.50 to $18.95, a 1.45 gain. But did you run to the bank and exchange? Why not? If you had $1 million dinars, that comes to a gain of $757.50. So far, I agree, yeah. But in the examples above, they're talking about the in-country only program rate, not the Forex rate. Get it? Yeah, I get it, but where are you going with this already? When you use words like in-country and program rate, it's definitely going to catch my attention. Some people call it the sanctioned rate, even though technically Iraq is out of sanctions. No, it is not. They still have not reinstated the dinar back to the Forex, and so most use the program rate. This what comes next. Why are they waiting so long to do it? Good question, but I don't have the answer. Does $757.50 sound like a good return to you on $1 million? Guess again. Now the CBI finally deletes the zeros and then reinstates the dinar back to the Forex. What happens now? I will now use a very possible scenario and give you examples of what happens in country and out of country to the Iraq dinar after these two events occur. Oh God, you're saying in country and out of country. This ought to be interesting. In country of Iraq. For example only, today is July 3rd, 2023, and the CBI rate is 1,320 dinars per US dollar. But now they delete the zeros, so you move the decimal over 3 places to 1.32 dinars per dollar. I agree. They now drop the zeros both in the program rate and on the banknotes. So do they do that on the exchange rate? Yes. And the banknotes? Yes. So I agree. So far, so good. They now have to issue the lower notes too. They must do both. My calculations now look like this. $1 US gets you 1.32 dinars, which comes out to 1 dinar equaling 75.75 USD per dinar. Then multiply it times 25 and you get 18.94. Surprise, surprise, no change in the rate in country. Get it? So this is what I was talking about. Same exact thing as Mountain Goat was saying. If you have a 25,000 dinar times the current rate of 0.00076, you get 19 American dollars. If you delete the zeros off of the exchange, it now becomes 0.76 or 76 cents per dinar. So if you multiply it times the currency, once they remove the zeros, the 25,000 dinar becomes a 25 dinar note. That 25 dinar note is worth $19, which is the same. That's how they do it. So I agree with this part. The newer 25 dinar note replaces the older 25,000 dinar notes. This equates to about $18.94 for the new value on the 25 dinar bill. I agree. Now, if the CBI does decide to revalue even more to 1,000 from 1,320 program rate in country, this is what it will look like in country. For example, today is July 3rd, 2023, and the CBI rate is 1,000 dinars per 1 US dollar. But now they delete the zeros and you move the decimal over 3 places. So 1 dinar has the same value as 1 US dollar. Got it? Get it? Understand? They now drop the zeros both in the program rate and on the banknotes. They must do both. My calculations now look like this. 1 for 1 times 25 dinars is equivalent to 25 US dollars. Yes, I agree. Out of country of Iraq, the Forex. What? Okay, so we got the in-country example. There's going to be an out-country example. Okay, let's check it out. For example, only today, July 3rd, 2023, and the CBI rate is 1,000 dinars per 1 USD, which is now 1 for 1 after the deletion of the zeros. Now they delete these zeros, issue the lowered notes, and reinstate the dinar to the Forex. Okay? The Forex rate is 1 dinar note is equivalent to $3.86 USD. Now we care. Get it? My calculations now look like this. 1 dinar note will be equal to $3.86 USD per dinar. Then multiply that times 25,000 dinar, which comes out to 96,500 USD. Oh, surprise, surprise. We do not drop the zeros. We are out of country. Oh, no, man. Mountain Goat, you had it, man. You had it going and you were doing so good. And if they deleted the zeros so-called in country, then you're definitely not going to use the 386 rate from the Forex multiply times an obsolete dinar bill. Why would you do that? That doesn't make no sense. If they take these zeros off of these currencies and redenominate, we have to take our old notes and exchange them for the new ones. I'd have my friend in Iraq grab as many of the old dinar notes with the zeros on there as possible. Give them to me, and I will go exchange them for the 386 rate in my country. And I would get a boatload of money. Then take them US dollars, go back to my friend and say, hey, go ahead and buy as many Iraqi dinars as possible. And we would keep that cycle going until we couldn't do it any longer. And we would make a ton of money. That's why you don't have no in-country rate versus out-of-country rate for that sole purpose. So I was rooting for Mountain Goat. It looks like we were agreeing most of the way until this mess right here. No, that's not how it works. If you had $1 million dinars, that comes to a gain of 3.8 million minus what you initially paid for the currency. It's a lot better than $757.50. I know you're asking yourself, what is the value of a single dinar once they delete the zeros? This is what you want to know. Please go back to the examples above. So no, Asar, this is wrong. What she's saying right here, absolutely wrong. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The deleting of the zeros, the lopping of the zeros, or removing of the zeros, whatever the hell you want to call it, it is a redenomination. If they do a redenomination first, we would have to swap in our old currency for the new one. And even if you happen to have the old currency, understand that the 25,000 dinar note is going to have the same equal value as a 25 dinar note. You wouldn't swap your 25,000 dinar for that exchange rate. If they do deletion of the zeros, there is no 25,000 dinar note, period. It's obsolete. So this is wrong. My point to giving these examples is to illustrate to you that the CBI may increase the current program rate of the dinar first away from 1,450 dinars to 1,320 dinars, then to whatever in the future, to get a final rate closer to $1, if that was their plan all along, to get to a 1-to-1 exchange rate. That's why I was saying it could go up in increments. The CBI will absolutely not have the rate of 1,450 dinars or 1,320 dinars or whatever else one day, and then after completing the project to delete the zeros, from the rate jump up to $3 per dinar or more in country within Iraq. It will not and cannot happen this way due to the process of how the program to delete the zeros works. Do you understand? So to make such a high jump would cause massive inflation or deflation and would destroy the economy. I agree with that 100%. I've said that 100 times. So if they just keep the rate exactly the same as it is today, the economy can absorb the changeovers much better. As time goes on within Iraq, they slowly raise their in-country rate. Meanwhile, the CBI keeps monitoring the inflation and fighting the parallel markets with measures to keep the dinar stable. Get it? Oh, I get it, but there is no in-country, out-of-country exchange rate. This is the most likely situation, and the situation I am told will probably happen. I know these intel gurus tell you that the purchasing power of the dinar will increase after the project to delete the zeros, but I can assure you with 1,000% accuracy, this is not the plan in country, but it will only help in the buying of imports. And the CBI does not want this to happen so suddenly. Yes, they told us it will be gradual, and they will slowly adjust the rate inside Iraq, and they monitor the economy closely. Why would they not want to do this if they are professional expert organizations concerned about managing the economy correctly? So these intel gurus are full of shit. Yep, I agree with her 1,000% there. Me and Mountain Goat are on the same page. There will be no massive jump in purchasing power to the citizens and no celebration in the streets. She says, I know how all these intel gurus for years and years have been telling you that there is going to be a huge revaluation within Iraq first, then it will be reinstated. Some have even lied to you, telling you it RV'd already in Iraq at $9. So now you know how this would be impossible and very stupid thing to say, even on your blogs or conference calls. This only shows their ignorance of the entire process. Man, I cannot agree more with Mountain Goat. I say that a million times. They only demonstrate their ignorance. But when you know the process, as you now do, you now know how the projects to delete the zeros really works, and you realize there is no real revaluation in country, only dropping the zeros, and thus the need to launch notes with the zeros deleted off them. You now also know why the CBI must do it this way. So for the most part, we agree on most things. There is no in-country or out-of-country rate. So, Sar, I appreciate you having me check out Mountain Goat. I've not read her articles before. That's probably why you don't see me mention them in a show. Like I said, I could do my own analyzing. The thing that gets me in here says her breakdown of deleting the zeros is different. I agree, it's different and more accurate than your logic. As you can plainly see, it's not more accurate. There won't be no in-country, out-of-country rate. It's just not going to happen. If you think you're going to be able to hold the old banknotes with the zeros on there just because you're out of Iraq, and for some strange reason the exchange rate jumps up to a high exchange rate, and you think you're going to run down there with your 25,000 dinar and swap it with that exchange rate and get more of a return, you're sadly mistaken. Anyways, that's it for now. I'll get back at you later. I'm out.